Welcome everybody to this short presentation about the Norwegian market. My name is Ken Engebretsen, and I'm director of the Deutsche Wine Institute in Norway and working very closely with, of course, the Deutsche Wine Institute in Bodenheim in Germany. We will here take a very short look at how the Norwegian market is built up and take a look on how to enter the market for you as a producer. And we will go through a few different topics, but first of all, let's take a look at how Norway is located. As you can see, we are in the far north of Europe, and we are a very, very long stretch country that makes transport and sometimes also the logistics very difficult and of course also expensive. But one of the things that is really important for you as a producer is to see that most of the monopoly shops is based on the south coast and on the west coast that we see down here. When you come far north, there is less monopoly shops, which is located usually within 30 kilometers distance of all the population, but still the price of your products must be the same no matter where they are sold. So if a bottle is sold in Oslo, the price should be exactly the same far north up here. And usually this is a cost that the importer must take unless if the monopoly is actually launching your products. We will take a further look at how the monopoly is today. And as we can see from how many wines that is listed from Germany, we see that there is a lot of wines, and German wines is really, really popular. Especially the white wines has for a long, long time been the mostly focused wines by Norwegians, with over now 1,532 wines listed. Riesling is of course the most popular grape, and we see especially that Riesling Trocken is doing really good. The last years, we have seen that sparkling wines have had a great focus along with Spätburgunder, and except from that, we see some Weissburgunder, we see some Grauburgunder, some Sauvignon Blanc, and of course also some Sylvaners. But these wines are what we're having today. For the future, I think we will see probably more of the sparkling wines coming in and more Spätburgunder, and Riesling will still be in great focus. So this is really important to understand because this is what the importers are looking for. Here we see the sales numbers, and we have taken into account the year 2020, which was for the, as you know, for the 10 months, more or less based on the Corona situation, and the sales was going up really, really huge for all wine producing countries and all products sold in Norway. This was basically due to that all border shopping was closed, and of course all restaurants and hotels not being able to sell their wines. So for the white wines, we see that Germany is number one with a really good sales numbers. And if we go to red wines, we see that Germany has been gaining on actually, for instance, other countries. But there's a far, far way to go to get over South Africa, which is selling now more than 4 times as much as Germany. But look at the percentage, and this have been continuing also in 2021. So red wines from Germany is now in really good favor, and especially then, of course, Spätburgunder, which is gaining really huge interest on the quality that you're selling. The monopoly is built up with the Parliament and the Ministry of Health and Care Services taking care on how the monopoly should work. And today, and since 1996, the monopoly is solely responsible for selling wines to their consumers. That means that nobody else in Norway can sell wine directly to the consumers. But the importers, and this is important for you as a producer, the importers or the wholesalers are able to sell directly to the hotels and restaurants, or the organizations having the sales license directly to pour wines, as we can say. So they can sell directly to the hotels and restaurants. And this market represents something about 8 to 10% of the total market. So for you as a producer, you can try to get your wines into the monopoly, but if you don't succeed on that, you are able to sell your wines directly to the hotels and restaurants. And this is why it's really important what type of wholesaler you are finding, because they should, if you like, be selling the wines to the hotels and restaurants. So if you take a look at how then the monopoly is actually working, which is of course really important, because here the big sales are 80 to 90% of all sales are going directly through the monopoly. And here we see that the monopoly itself is responsible for some different segments. First of all, it's a basic range. The basic range is really the biggest, where most wines are sold. Most monopolies in Norway have a basic range, and if you get your wine into here, you can expect to have really good sales and maybe also stable sales. But there is also a few others, and the one lot range and the special range represents something, but this is all represented by the monopoly. That means that the monopoly is taking care of the logistics, they're taking care of the sales, and only thing you have to do together with your importer is to supply the wines. But there's also then the responsibility of the wholesaler. If you don't succeed to enter the basic range or this other range that is responsibility of the monopoly, you can, together with your importer, have your wine tested in the market. And that wine is in the test range. Here you can see if the wines is really something that the market actually accepts. But the importer only have a limited product they can test. So you must really talk to your importer and see if your wines can be tested here, because then you can see that there is also transfers in this market. So if you succeed in the test range, you can be transferred to the basic range. That also is then, of course, there's some delistings. So if the wines is not selling, your wines can be delisted. This is, of course, important for you and the importer, because the both of you must work continuously in the market with the monopoly, with the restaurants, with the hotels, with the journalists, with the sommeliers, to actually gain interest for your wines, because otherwise your wines can be delisted out of the basic range. So think about this as a shelf placement, if you like. The basic range is always in the shelves. The test range and order range can be in the shelves, but they can also be taken out of the shelves of the monopoly shops. So please pay good attention to this and try to work with your importer. If you take a look at then how things are, the monopoly is launching tenders. They do that with their market plan. Twice a year, they have a market plan for the next 6 months. And that means that they are actually saying to the market, to the importers, we are looking for a wine from Australia, a wine from Argentina, or a wine from Germany. This wine from Germany could be based on, let's say, Riesling, and it should be from Rheinhessen or Baden, and it should be from not only Baden, it should be from Graichau. And not my German is not very good. So then all importers can actually then say, we would like to deliver a sample according to the tender specification, and there is no exceptions to this tender specification. If they're asking for Riesling, it should be Trocken, should be vintage 2020, should be from Baden, from Gleichau, then this is what you need to deliver. There is no exceptions. When this is done, the offer is delivered to the monopoly. They will sit down and test the wines blind, and they will select a winner. This winner will then be quality controlled, and it might be launched in the monopoly system. I say might because they will keep one bottle of the original samples and check this bottle against what you deliver maybe 4-5 months later. And if there's correspondence between these two bottles, they will launch the wine. But if there's big difference in these two bottles, they will say that there's a quality difference that we cannot accept. So be very careful together with your importer to safe sound guard this process of how to launch the wines. So a tender can look like this. Here you see the specification. You see that it's a white wine, it's from Pfalz, it's a VDP, and here you can see they have been asking for a lot of VDP wines, but they're also asking a wine that is outside the VDP system. And this goes a little bit up and down from tender to tender. But you see all the specification is really detailed sometimes, and be aware there is no exceptions to what they're asking for. These tenders are available at the monopoly sites or at tyskvin.no, which is the website of Deutsche Weininstitut in Norway. So you can go to the monopoly site, vinmonopolet.no, as you can see at the bottom here. Here you will find a lot of information in English about how to enter a market and the importers, etc. But remember, we are also here to help you. That means that we can show you in the right direction. And if you have an importer or if you're looking for an importer, we are here to talk. So you might send us a mail, you can call us, and we will have a discussion and talk around how your presence in the Norwegian market is really going. So please take contact if there's anything. So this monopoly site is of really good value. All the way at the bottom of this site, you find information in English, and I urge you to take a look and to really see what information you can find. Or, as you say, contact us here at the Deutsche Weininstitut in Norway. An important thing is the price. People tend to forget that we have a lot of taxes in Norway. And as you can see from this model, you're having a wholesaler net price from the producer to the importer of, let's say, 25%. But when it comes to Norway, this is raised to 100 crowns or up to 100%. So there's actually around 75% tax, including alcohol tax, VAT, package tax, etc., on all wines. This is for a cheaper wine. If you have a more expensive wine, the tax will probably be more or less the same, except from the VAT. But the alcohol tax is based on each percentage. And remember, usually a dry, expensive wine have the same alcohol, more or less, as a cheaper, drier wine. So the alcohol tax is more or less always the same, depending on the percentage, but 12% is 12%, even if it's cheap or expensive. So to understand these prices, we have put something down for you here, but please also talk with your importer and find the correct price in the market. It can be adjusted 3 times a year, but the importer will be probably very reluctant to change the price too often, because this can also make frustration in the market. So it's important to find good price at the beginning. There is some trends in the markets, and these 3 very basic trends is probably something you see, same you see in Germany, where there's a focus on health, where there's a focus on being natural, being eco-friendly. Everything should be organic if possible. Some people are saying that it's not so important with the branding or with the registration or the certificate, but they must understand that the products are, for instance, of dry quality or organic. The thing is that in Norway, we have had quite a good economy in the last years, and that means also the good life is part of what we're doing. This means for you as a producer that modern, very nice, let's say, good labels, not too complicated, good colors can be of great value for showing that you are up to date. So if you're coming with a label of really old Gothic writing, that can be something that looks a little bit old-fashioned these days. So, my friends, if you have any questions, anything should be unclear, please take contact with us and we will guide you in a direction that we think is good. And we are here to help you. And as always, you're welcome to Norway. We think that it's a good way to come, going a little bit north, and we can show you around and really treat you with some really good and nice Norwegian hospitality. So I hope you are thinking about coming here, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye and take care.